Oh yeah, I'm with this, with it. I'm just gonna lay back and I'ma drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. We about to set it straight. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready, let's go. Ain't no half stepping, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkled with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the beat, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepper with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk, running back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk. Steppin, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkled with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepper with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. My brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk.
Well, all right, y'all. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J is live. We are in the building, ready to have another outstanding show as I do it with these two. Very, very excited. The trio hasn't been all together in a little while, a couple weeks, but we are here, ready to bring the flagship show of Legacy Internet Radio, live from the new den of Legacy Internet Radio. We got a whole bunch of stuff that we're going to talk to y'all about tonight. We're excited. Hopefully y'all are too. You're listening or watching or however you are communicating with the flagship show, Legacy Internet Radio. It's called Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J, and it's live right now.
Yeah. It's about that time. It's about that time to get yeah.
Button your lip, open your ears, strap on your thinking cap. Socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. It's time for Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J.
Sellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. Puts it up. It's good at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago. Manning lobs it. Burris alone. Touchdown, New York.
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. He hits one deep to right center. That ball is out of here. The Yankees win the pennant.
Ain't no half step when Marcus J is live. We in the building. Be down with us tonight at 804-402-2893. Be part of the flagship show heard live from New Den of Legacy Internet Radio. Thank you, everybody who's rocking with us tonight. We appreciate those folks that are already checking us out on Facebook Live. We appreciate those folks that are checking us out on YouTube Live. And we also are thanking those folks that are checking out our archives, our old shows. You might be checking out this show in the future, or you might be checking us out time delayed now. However it is that you rock with us, we will roll with y'all, so we appreciate you. Be a part of tonight's discussion at 804-402-2893. That's the number to dial to be a part of the discussion. We got a lot to get to tonight. I guess the biggest topic of the night, I'll tease it here before I introduce the usual suspects. Derek Chauvin was convicted of murdering George Floyd, and then he was sentenced to 22 and a half years in the penitentiary. So he's going to prison. We understand that he'll probably only do about 15 years because of the way the laws work in that state, but we're going to talk about that. We are also going to talk about an elderly woman who was sent to jail for answering her phone. Obviously, there's more to that story, but we'll get to it as we get through the show. Congress people coming for Congress people. Marjorie Taylor Greene just came from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I'm pretty sure she don't want it with her, but she's asking for it, so she's probably going to end up getting it. We're going to have a conversation on black feminism, and we're going to talk about how the Democrats are negotiating with the GOP. They don't appear to be getting very far with them. There's some stuff going on with that. So we got a pack show, and we're going to do the best that we can to get to all of it. So before we get into those topics, I want to introduce my friends, my family, my co-hosts, my team, your team, the team of Ain't No Hashtag with Marcus J. So you hear the brother every single week, sits across the room from me. Glad to have him, my brother, my partner. That's my homeboy, John. What it do, homie?
What is up, my brother? How you feeling?
I'm chilling, brother. I'm having a good day. How you doing?
You good? I'm good, man. Everything all right? How was your week?
That was a good weekend. I was definitely on some Zen this weekend. You know, the new space that I'm in these days, I'll share here in a moment. I'm going to get our sister introduced. We have her back
definitely.
in the den.
Please go right ahead.
And we haven't had her since about 2 weeks. But she's back. She's on my right, where I love to have her, our sister Steph B. What's up, Steph?
Hello. Always forward. You know that.
I'm glad to see you.
I am glad to be seen.
Yeah. The bow is matching the outfit as soon as you walked in the door, and it usually does. But this week it's
almost an exact match.
It's popping this week. So the first thing I said when you came in, I was like, yeah.
You know, I love a good bow.
Yeah, man, I know you do. It's trademark, and I appreciate it. You look dope in it. So
thank you.
Glad to have you back.
Glad to be back.
Weekend. Everybody go around the room and give theirs. Mine, I'll go first. Yesterday, I left the house for the first time since midday on Friday. Didn't even leave the house on Saturday. Saturday, I chilled. You know, I'm on this new kick now. Went to the doctor. You know, the doctor told me 90% of what I wanted to hear and 10% of what I didn't want to hear. I told y'all offline. I ain't gonna tell them. If you know me, you know what it is. But the result of the stuff they told me is I got back into working out, more than normal. I already do yoga semi-regularly. Now I took the semi off of it, and now I'm doing yoga every day now, mostly at home. And sometimes
over here.
Yeah, and mostly at home. But when I'm not at home, I'm usually following Bare Soul Yoga, and that's a plug to them because Ashley is the best.
Super sweet.
She is outstanding, so I will definitely show her some love. And then I'm drinking a gallon of water every day.
That's a lot. I mean, that takes a lot.
It does.
Water makes you feel.
I got the jug, man. I got the jug.
120 ounces. That's a lot.
I don't know how many.
That's
ounces.
A gallon.
I see people doing.
We might be doing half gallons.
No. I bought a jug, and
we pick things up and put them down. Jug.
Yeah,
the weightlifting.
It's got the handle on the joint.
We pick things up. We put them down.
And it's crazy about it, like, because when I first fill that joker up, I don't got to do no curls. All I got to do is drink my water. Because that joint is heavy.
Yeah,
so that's just the space. And obviously, I was at the river yesterday. I didn't post a picture just because I didn't want to, but
you did post a great quote.
Yes. Now All right. Thank you for reminding me of
Good
that.
quote.
I have taken to listening to the Village of Faith, which is led by Reverend Dr. Councilman Mike Jones of here in Richmond, Virginia. I'm not a Christian person, so those folks who, oh my God, he's going to church, he's a Christian. No, I like him. I like him. I'm still an agnostic, but I like him. And I like him because whenever he gives his word, and every Sunday when I'm out at the river, I time it so that I can hear his word. So yesterday's word was about peace. It was literally all about finding your peace. And he said, the hustle and bustle of life can disturb, and I'm paraphrasing, the hustle and bustle of life disturbs your peace. And when that happens, you got one thing that you can do. 2 words, very simple. Be still. And it was crazy because I go to the river so that I could be still. So as he's saying this to me, while I'm in my still spot, it did wonders for my spirit in that moment. And so, I will endorse the brother. I'm not versed in the Richmond politics. I live in the county, so I'm not quite as versed in how y'all feel about him as a councilman, and as a Christian pastor, I'm not a Christian person, but as someone who has a way of saying what I'm thinking and putting it in words and relating it biblically, man, that's all I've been looking for my whole 47 years. Is somebody that could do that. And the last time I had somebody that could do that, I was 14, Reverend Ashley and Reverend Willard Ashley of Monumental Baptist Church in Jersey City, New Jersey. It's been over 30 years. So I am very pleased, very, very pleased. So that was my weekend. Steph, how was your weekend?
It was good. I've been keeping it super low key just while I've been dealing with healing this eye and whatnot. And I'm vain. So if everything is not perfect and I can't have mascara and lashes and all that, I'm not going. So I was finally, thank you, able to get out, supported the opening of a local Black-owned wine. Had a good little time with that, but I spent a lot of time chilling at home, watched the Olympics, enjoyed that. And then I supported, the local arts community by going to a cypher yesterday. So that was cool. Got to hear some great local musicians, Vintage A, Kula, Nicole Hicks. I mean, there's some really good local rappers who really should have bigger names doing their thing. I just love how creative our people are. And I don't care 14 to 54. You could just find the range, and there's always something cool and something dope about, the arts community for us. And I like seeing that. So that was cool. It was nice to get out and do that. But I'm telling you, the hotter it gets, the less likely to see me until the sun goes down. So if I can't be super cute in the heat, you will not see me till the sun goes down for real. It's terrible.
You one of those hibernators,
Absolutely.
man?
I'm a September baby. Give me spring and fall. This hot summer weather, it's not for me at all.
That's when I come alive.
Yeah, you're getting a tan. I see you. Look, John got a tan on us.
I see him over there.
What's going on?
This is my natural color.
Bull.
This is my natural. No, the problem is I'm a person of the sun and I don't get enough. So this is what happens when I get enough sun.
You look like a beige office folder.
Yeah.
Right now.
I look like a bottle of OE.
Yeah, you do.
That gold.
Looking golden.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you say a beige office folder?
Yeah.
Manila.
He usually light.
That's Manila. That's the name
Manila.
of it. Manila.
The Manila
he goes
folder.
from Manila to OE.
Manila folder color. Now, you know how Steppin, Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy Internet Radio. We getting some love from social media. First off, shout out to Legacy Internet Radio alumni, my brother and yours, Mr. LP Steven Sykes, and Live and Global Media is checking us out. One of our favorite people and listeners and family members of all time is also listening. She's shouting you out because you shouted her out. Our sister Kula.
What's that? Number one rapper in
Cooler with
Virginia
the
right now.
bars.
The
Something like that.
dopest
Yeah.
MC,
She got an award.
Queen
I'm saying this. She got a
Kong.
Queen
ranking.
Kong, and I'm gonna say this, you know, male, female, it doesn't even matter the gender. She the dopest in this town.
Well, you
Listen,
know what I
period.
say about
Period.
Cooler too? That's really cool.
Period.
She doesn't pretend to be something she's not. She owns her womanhood, she owns her swag, she owns her age, she owns it all. She's, mom, corporate, rapping, baking.
Look,
Check
look,
out
it
for the
don't
bakers.
hurt
I
that
mean,
she-
she's doing it all.
It
But
don't hurt
no,
she
that
cute.
it don't hurt that she fine.
And
I'm
rock
about,
the
I'm about,
fade.
listen,
Cute with
listen.
the fade,
I
you
was
know?
about, look, I
She
was
got
about
the
to
right
say
head
something.
for that fade.
One day, I was just on social media, and she had a picture up.
Was
You know,
she
she always put a
thirst-trapping?
picture.
Calling you out.
No.
Cooler.
She just had a picture up, and I was like, I kind of said, yo, you dope, but I said, but yo, it's easy to forget that you fine AF.
Yes, sir.
Like you be,
Girl.
because you so damn cool. Like she
Yeah.
is so cool, so down to
And
earth,
she gives you your props.
so
Yep.
so
and she
so
gave you yours.
reachable.
Before I got into any of that, she says, "Thanks for coming out. You was cute."
She called me out because I said she came all the way to the back and hugged me, and we're talking, and I said she knew how I had kind of been feeling. I was like, yeah, I'm just trying to be low key. She said, how you being low key in lime green? I wasn't lime green from head to toe.
And
That's
this
Brooklyn
is you.
low
This for,
key.
this for you, Cooler.
Yes,
And she
yes.
said you funny, John.
Tip one back.
Nah, but she know what it is though. I'm not
know what it is.
I'm not
Look,
playing. Like
Be careful that Cooler got
Listen.
swag. She'll take you off your perch.
No. What it is like
Bring you on. She
It's-
might be the
it's-
King Kong tamer.
it's just no. It is just very very rare that you have that situation where
That level
you
of energy.
like
and-
you lose it. Like it's not her. Like she's abnormally attractive.
Oh,
Right?
okay, Cooler.
It's a different
You
level.
single out,
But it you don't even like. Usually when men are dealing with women and they're very attractive, like you're very attractive, it sits on top of everything. So you're never really listening to them
I'm
talk.
mean,
You
so
never
that's
really,
the first thing you know. You be like,
yeah, but
mm.
you're
You got the screw
you're
face.
She mean.
it's
You got the
not
screw
it's not
face.
it's not the screw face. It's the quick to take it to an intellectual space.
Oh yeah.
So
I'll move it there quick.
you knock us into another
and
room.
that is why I
But
dig that sister.
With Cooler, she does that, but she does it in a disarming way. She takes away all that male swag, all that I'm gonna get at her, all that just goes to pieces because she's real,
Yeah.
reachable, and you just be talking, and then you be like, oh damn, she fine too. Like it's just like it's a second thought.
And at the
I
end of
feel
the
like
day,
this is a slam dunk shoot your shot moment.
yeah.
No, it's not. There's
No.
too much. It's respect.
Okay.
If I was
okay,
shooting my
okay.
shot, I would load the gun and tell her to put her hands up.
Oh,
But
oh,
I'm just
please
saying.
don't make her bring out the bars on this
I'm
one.
just saying.
Cooler.
I'm
I
just
never
no.
heard that one before.
No.
That's a good one, right? That's
Right.
a good
I'm
one.
gonna give him credit on
But
that.
what I'm saying is the fact that her overall personality as an individual
Yeah,
is so much more than that.
yeah,
That becomes secondary or tertiary
Yeah.
in most because
Yeah.
she's talented,
yeah.
Yes,
right?
Yeah.
So that becomes tertiary. It's like
I
Oh,
told her,
wow.
I tell her whenever I have an opportunity, and yeah, take your flowers, sis. She side eyeing you, by the way.
It's all great.
Take your flowers because the reality is you deserve them. You know, we are speaking how we feel, and it's not unjust, at least not for me. Like you're real dope, and to kind of not to steal John's thunder, but one of the things that I've always kind of liked about Cooler Von Seal, one of the dopest artists here in this town and beyond, Queen Kong, is that she owns every bit of her swag. You know, sometimes you see a person and the swag doesn't always feel authentic. You still rock with them, but it doesn't always feel authentic. Like she got this authentic, cool, smooth thing going. And then when she pick up the mic, like magic happens.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so salute to you. And I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're listening. We appreciate you just being family. She said
And
we the
salute-
dopest show, and we appreciate
We
this. Your home.
appreciate
She
that,
been
yeah.
here so many times.
I know.
Yeah,
You know,
she
so
is.
she's
And salute
family
to
to
just
us.
the all of us. We're from outside this area, and salute to RVA for what they do on the
Absolutely.
creative scene.
That and
You know, all
Absolutely.
those sisters and brothers out there that really keep a dope
Yeah.
creative scene when there's not a lot of support.
Yeah.
A lot of times they're doing it's not like the National is just calling them out
Right.
and putting them on stage. I've seen acts at the National that can't hold a candle to some of the acts I've seen going to RVA Rapper Lead or things like that. So, you know, shout out to a real
And
dope
creative.
Southern, Mid-Atlantic, whatever you want to call it, community. And the fact that VA brings a lot of people from out of town, but somehow they still have created a sound that's very indicative of this market. It's very cool.
Well, I was about to mention that, talking about my weekend, because I spent part of my weekend, because some people don't know, but most people who know me know I fell in love with this city. That's why I'm here. Like, and I talk to people who are from here, and they be like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, that's because you here. You don't have an appreciation for it. I do. Like, I appreciate what this city is in its infrastructure, in its design, its layout, and its people. The people are so dope, is business wise, right? And the way they come together and the way they, deal with each other. I don't like some of the laws, some of the state stuff, the 60-40 with the 60-40 with the liquor, the stuff closing at midnight. I mean, it's mad corny, but like I went down Friday night. I went out around 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock. I just was going to go to the store, but I said, let me just take a ride around the city. I ran down to 18th Street, popping. I mean, like in this very New York-esque, like it was very.
Chaco Bottom will hit.
Yeah, it was hitting. So I went
Bottom
around Main 18th. That was boom. Then I came back up Midtown, went up Grace. They got all the nice little restaurants, people sitting on the street, real cool out kind of vibe. Then I went down by the school, further down. I guess I was on Main or Kerry or something, but I was down by the school through to like where it is campus, but it's regular street. The kids was out. The park had people in it. It was just like the city was really, really. And then I was coming home, traveling east, and the moon took up half the sky in the middle of Broad. It was like it was like something out of a movie. I was like, this is insane. I really wanted to go up on Franklin and like 24th. There's a park there. I wanted to go up on the top and see what they, but I was like, I ain't doing all that. It's a little late. I came on back in the house, but yeah, Virginia, and then I got out on Saturday. I was up in the DMV for a little bit and just, appreciated coming back to RVA. It was just, it was cool. It was a cool weekend.
Glad that you guys had a good weekend. When you guys are happy, I'm happy, and appreciate you guys being a part of what we do. And I love this part of the show, how before we get to what we are here to talk about, we always make sure that we check in with one another and we show each other some love. So let me get that same love from each other. I want to share with the viewers and listeners. 804-402-2893 is the number dial. You want to rock with us, we're going to roll with y'all. Kula says that thank you. I only deal with dope people. That's why I love y'all. I miss y'all. I have to come through soon before I go back to work. So you got an open invitation. You tell us when you come in, and that's when we'll have you. It's literally that simple. So yeah, we love you. Our sister Valerie is checking us out. She says Kula is just necessary. I love that.
That's a nice statement.
I love that. And Miss Valerie, thank you for rocking with us. She's awesome herself. She's very awesome. Miss Valerie, thank you for rocking with us. James checking us out. He said peace from hip hop forum culture. VA is very hot with independent artists right now. So James, you nailed it, brother. Thank you for rocking. We rolling with you as well. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J. Live from New Den. Legacy Internet Radio. All right, so let's get it, man. Last week on Friday, former Minneapolis officer Derek Chauvin was sentenced 22 and a half years in prison for murdering George Floyd. A couple of quick highlights. I'll say more as the conversation spills out, but just a couple of quick observations. What the hell was he talking about when he said that there's gonna be some more stuff we're gonna find out? Like, really?
That was
what the
weird.
hell was that? His mama speaking from him. I got no heat with her. I don't have no problem
do.
with his mother at all. That's his mom's. What you expect? Every time somebody kills people and their mama gonna say, you know, my baby is a good boy. He was always a good. That's what mamas do. Like, even in our own communities, we see mamas go into court and speak on behalf of known killers. So I got no heat with his moms, like none. I'll speak more about what I think about the sentence as we go on. I do want our sister in Legal, Tamika Robinson, if she's available and she's checking us out. I would love, and I'm calling her out. I think I can get away with that because she is a part of the show. We haven't had her on since we left Old Den, moved to New Den, and we got technology where we don't even have to worry about bringing her in. We can still bring her in if you know what I mean.
Hey.
So, however it is that you make your comment, I will call you out like that because I can call you out like that. That's why, because I love you though. Yes. She said, "Why you call me out like that?" I can hear her in the typing. In the type, why you call me out like that? Yes. By the way, you did come in right on time. So if you want to come in video, if you want to come in by phone, if you just want to comment where you are, we would love your input on this particular case with Derek Chauvin. So now, John, I'd like to know what you think about it, and then Steph will talk about what she thinks about it, and we're gonna round table it and vibe off of each other. What you got?
Are we gonna do the whole thing, or are we going piece by piece? We're gonna go with mama. We're gonna go with the actual sentencing.
I
I
set it up the way I set it up because I wanted it on the table.
All right.
Obviously I'm gonna say more. So you absolutely in this moment
Okay.
you say whatever it is you want to say. But you know I want us to round table it. So I guess I'll open a salvo.
I'll say this. I'll touch on it a little bit and everything, and then we can go in depth. Right. Mama speaking up for her boy, I ain't got a problem with that. What she had to say, I had a problem with that. All she needed to do was come up there and say how sorry she was for the family, for the Floyd family, and how, you know, there's nothing that they could do. There's nothing no one could do to fill the hole. And she's just sorry that it happened. And she would just want as much compassion that could be afforded for her son, and left it at that. Trying to, in any way, make what he did something other than what it was a travesty, in my opinion. We can get on that later. The sentence, what it comes down to is he eligible for parole in 8. Right? So he's gonna go to prison, but he's gonna get a job in the hospital. He in Punk City the whole time. So, and he's white, and he's got a wife, so I think he gets conjugal visits. I don't know the prison, but it might be weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, but he gonna get it. So, I mean, look, prison ain't nice no matter how you slice it up, but, you know, killing a man and doing 8 and coming out with a book deal, and they probably got to go fund me for him and everything else. It never set right with me. They proved murder 1 on a murder 2 or 3 charge, but they proved murder 1. They left out a lot of stuff in the trial, from my understanding, because the prosecutor said that he didn't want to muddy the water. He wanted to keep it clear, and he wanted to focus strictly on the video and the evidence that they had irrefutable. But it was so much of a stuff. Their common contact prior to that contact, Chauvin's record. There's like a lot of stuff that made that very much a 1, in my opinion, a murder 1, provable in court. I'll take the 22.5 on a symbolic level of saying that, you know, we double digiting on the murder of Black people, which is a big step in the right direction. But the fact of the matter is, as this thing cools down, probably in about before 2030, we're going to hear about him coming home. I just feel like that, and I don't think that's cool, because George ain't never going home. So that's my opening salvo on that, Steph.
I'm not gonna really debate murder one, murder two. What's done is done in that case. He still has the federal, and in Minnesota they spent about 2/3, so that's 15 years. I don't think he will. I don't know. I did have a major issue with his mother. I felt like his mother got up there, and you're right. Marcus is absolutely right. I have never seen a mom get up and say, you know what, my baby deserves a death penalty, or my baby deserves any kind of punishment, or so on and so forth. My problem was when she centered herself. She never acknowledged the Floyd family, but she did center herself in a way that's very interesting and very indicative of what a lot of Black women always say about when a white woman centers her tears and her pain, and how she believed that was going to sway them. When you sentence him, you're sentencing me too. That's not our concern. It was very dismissive of everything that family has gone through. Her statement in itself, I didn't expect much from him. I don't expect much from someone whose attorneys are asking for probation for murder too. But when she got up there and did that, I thought that was extremely indicative of where we are in this society when we weigh and measure Black pain, which is what is constantly being done. What's the value of it? And it rarely commoditizes to the point of the pain of other people. And so I had a big issue with that. The other thing I thought was interesting was the statement that Marcus referenced. I didn't like that it was almost like inserting a conspiracy theory at the end of his statement. You're going to see something more. You're going to just to make people feel have their doubts, or if something happens, which he seems weak, so if he kills himself, then they'll be like, remember the thing he said in court. And it just, to me, very dismissive of the family, the unwillingness to acknowledge. And I'm going to tell you, this is the first time in recent years that I felt a family of Black people or a community of Black people have been unwilling to offer forgiveness, thoughts, or prayers to anybody. And it's made me extremely happy. I've watched every other thing. And, even Breonna Taylor's mother at some point was lured into, let's move forward in the community together and blah, blah, blah. And these things that just aren't relevant to stopping these situations from happening. The fact that this family has, from the very beginning, been all about getting their just due, getting what they deserve from this situation, has made me extremely happy. And I'm even more so happy now that they're not being magnanimous, as I call it, magnanimous Negroes. Like, immediately, thank you guys for convicting them. I'm glad they didn't go that route, simply because that would be giving them grace they're not even asking for. These people aren't asking for forgiveness. They're not asking to be considered as someone who wants to change. They don't see any reason. And from his mother to him, I don't feel any level.
He never said, I wish I could go back.
No.
I wish I could not do this.
I wish I could have did it
in the moment.
Yeah.
I wish I could go back. I would have done it different.
Right.
He never said that. He is not remorseful.
No. And
for the death of that man.
And also, not just he, but many law enforcement officers still think he was justified. There's never going to be any remorse. And to Marcus's, or to your point, it's not factual. Y'all know how I feel about what's factual and what's not. But I truly believe he'll be all right in there, simply because he'll be with other officers, number one. And number two, there will be people who will keep money in his name coming and flowing.
Oh yeah,
so
all day.
I don't.
Like I said, he's gonna
I don't have any
based on his training, education, and his former occupation. They're going to give him a job in the hospital. He's going to be in protective custody, meaning he will not be around any regular inmates, right? And he is going to be in prison, which is not a good thing, no matter how you slice it. But what most people
DOC is
what most people think about going to prison is not what's going to happen to that man.
Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. As I think about this, I feel pretty steadfast in my opinion of him being just a cold dude. Like when you see him,
Yeah.
he seems like a cold dude. Like you didn't get any kind of remorse from him. I wasn't expecting it. I didn't expect to get any remorse. You saw no emotion from him during the trial. I don't think that it would have been reasonable to expect to see any emotion from him during the sentencing. And I'll temper the rest of my comment to the rest of the conversation. Now, I am excited, y'all, because for the very first time since we've been in New Den of Legacy Internet Radio, we see that just beautiful face on the screen there. She is one part of our show that we have just been missing. She is our sister. She is our legal perfect time
Perfect.
for her to rejoin her family here on Ain't No Half Step with Marcus J. I'm happy to have our sister Tamika Robinson back with us. What's up, Tamika?
Hey y'all, what's going on?
How you doing, man?
Hey, legal.
Literally logged in and clicked your stream just as you started talking about Derek Chauvin and started talking trash about me too. So I came in at the right time.
It was
Well,
love.
well,
Love.
what can I say? So, first of all, it's good to see you. It's good to see you.
I miss y'all.
We miss
Yes.
you too, man. We miss you too. And thank you for being with us tonight for however long we have you. You are an attorney, and it's a perfect time to get your opinion on this. We talked about the trial, but that all went down since we've been in New Den. So we didn't even have you during the trial. So, we're going to leave you to kind of say whatever it is that you want to say. You'll give you the floor to speak on this holistically, but you say what you want, but I want you to address those of us who feel that 22 and a half years is not enough time. I'm not going to say it's a slap on the wrist. I'm a little bit older than he is. I'm 47. He's 45. And so 22 and a half years, translation 15 is what they're saying. So in 15 years, I'm going to be 62. It's a long time. But when you think of what he has been convicted of, it's not a long time, in my opinion. And I'm emotional. I know I'm emotional. I'm not an attorney and I wasn't on a jury. So I have no qualms about being emotional about this because I see George Floyd as John, as me, as our brother Bobby, as Damon, as Jay Grizzy, as brothers, as us. So I'm gonna give you the con here and just tell us what you think.
Well, I have to say that I am slightly surprised that I was surprised that they found him guilty. I kind of was and I kind of wasn't, right? I felt like there had to have been a guilty verdict and there had to be some type of retribution because even though this has happened before, I think non-people of color for the first time, this resonated with a lot of those people, particularly the mothers. And so I'm sorry. This is how my Zoom goes during the day as well, right? If I have video court, it's the same issue. So anyway, can you go sit down, please? So to say that I was kind of my colleagues and I kind of threw it back and forth. I wasn't expecting him to get 22 and a half years or the 270 months, give or take some credit time, right? I wasn't expecting that, especially since he has no priors. I knew that there were aggravators, but I figured that if the jury did convict him, that maybe there was some ulterior motive behind it and he would kind of walk away with way less than what he got. Now, and looking at what his sentence translates into, it looked like, according to Minnesota law, and I'm by no means a Minnesota attorney, so I'm not qualified to give a lot of insight and advice, but just reading their stuff, it looks like they have a mandatory 2/3 service, and then the last 1/3 is served on release under some type of supervised probation. So what that translates to mathematically is once you credit him the 199 days that he's already served, he'll end up serving about 14.6 years. I don't see him getting out any sooner than that. The question that I think is going to be interesting for everybody is what happens with the federal case. Because if he's convicted federally, the question then becomes, will the feds allow him to serve that time concurrently, meaning at the same time he's serving his state sentence, or will they be petty and make him serve it consecutively? So as soon as he leaves jail in the state prison at Minnesota, he goes strictly to the federal prison and begins his time there. I don't know. Typically, the feds don't charge unless they got you. They may make, with this DOJ that's here and right now with this administration, they may make a statement with him and they may ask for consecutive sentencing just to kind of prove a point and show that they mean business about this. I don't really know. I don't agree with you, John, that he gets conjugal visits. That's gone away from all but like 6 states, and Minnesota's not one of those states. So he doesn't enjoy those pleasures, at least not from his spouse.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Anyway.
Thank you. But here's my question. I was watching a program on one of the news programs, and they said there is a provision based on good behavior that he can file for parole as soon as 8 years.
When I was reading the information straight from the Minnesota site, and if you give me a second, I'll pull it back up again. Let me see. Stop, please. Can you go to the side? Off camera. Okay, so if I look strictly at the DOC website for Minnesota, the first thing they say is that Minnesota uses determinate sentencing. So under this system, there's no parole board and no time off for good behavior. Individuals serve 2/3 of their prison sentence incarcerated and the remaining third on supervised release.
Wow.
Oh, so there is no parole. That's
according to Minnesota's DOC.
Okay.
And it looks like that was probably last updated. Can you get back, please? That was last updated fairly recently.
Okay.
So that seems to be
had it wrong, or they were using some other schematic
right
to do that on that type of sentencing. But say Minnesota, he's gonna, provided what he's done already, 14 and a half years.
14.6 years once the 199 days is credited. So how I arrived to that calculation was I just took the months and divvied it up to the days and then subtracted the 199 days that he's already served and then just re-equated that back out to years, and it came out to about 14.6 years.
Let me ask you your opinion on the time that he was given by this particular judge and the potential for the federal case. One of the things that I took solace in when I realized that the 22 and a half was not going to be the end game was that he did have to go and face another trial on the federal level. Do you think, you mentioned how they could potentially be petty and give him that time consecutively? You're not an attorney there, neither are we, but I am curious your opinion. Do you think that it is possible that he could, one, get more than 22 years in feds, And if not, would you pretend? I guess what I'm getting at is there a way that he could end up being in there beyond 22 and a half years? That's what I'm getting at. Do you think the feds
In total, would stay in Fed time?
I guess to more specifically ask my question, is it possible that he may get more than 22 years from the feds? And if not, do you think it's likely that he would serve whatever time upon conviction from them consecutively and not concurrently?
I don't know because I've not tried to calculate any sentencing guidelines. And I don't know if once they do go to trial, if he pleads to something, right? If they do whatever and they come to some kind of plea that's less than what he's already charged, and if they will calculate this conviction in his sentencing report. So how sentencing generally works is a report is generated based on a couple of different factors. Your prior history as to what you've got on there already, any aggravating factors that can be argued to say, yeah, we should add more time on there because what he did was just so egregious and there were child victims and all this other stuff. So they will take all of that into account when generating some type of pre-sentencing report. And then based on all of that, there are guidelines that it falls into. And so usually they go strictly by the guidelines. Now, whether the judge will have mercy and go to the lower end of the guidelines versus whether this is a jury trial and they tend to go to the higher end of the guidelines, that depends. He gets to pick and choose whether he wants to take it to trial and he wants to have a jury trial or not. He's probably going to try to hold off the feds while this state appeal is going through.
And that was my I'm glad you said that, because that was my next question. When you mentioned, when you first started this piece of your speech, you're speaking here, you mentioned a potential plea. Wouldn't a plea in the feds affect his appeal on the state level?
Nope.
It would not.
Nope. No, because these are two very different crimes with very different elements. So someone can be charged with violating someone's civil rights on a federal level, but it's not a situation where one affects the other. Some of the same actions are included as far as what it violates, but the fact that the elements are substantially different, so there's one, no double jeopardy issue because it's not the same crime. And two, they carry very different penalties. So regardless of whether or not he's found guilty or innocent of murder, that doesn't mean that he didn't violate somebody's civil rights.
Got you. I got you. Ain't no how stepping with Marcus J.
One more thing while you're getting that together. The appeal is on the sentencing, right?
I think the appeal is on the whole thing, because on the guilty part, because they're trying to argue and say the jury was tainted because there was one person in there that had some kind of picture or something with George Floyd and didn't disclose. Say it again.
Didn't that person step down? Didn't we have an alternate come in behind that? Or that was something different?
I don't recall if an alternate came in or not, but that's one of the arguments, is that the jury was tainted because there was somebody that knew him personally. Now, if they put an alternate in there, if they put an alternate in there or not.
No, I think that was different then, because I know they asked somebody about something, and one of the days they went out, they had looked at a program or something.
Yeah,
the judge took them out. So
yeah, I think this was specifically, I remember one of the specific issues with this case was a picture of the juror with George Floyd or so. So if they're going to argue that the jury was tainted and the juror didn't disclose it or something along those lines, then pretty much what they're going to say is, the verdict can't be trusted, and they're probably going to ask for a mistrial and start all over again. I don't know how far they're going to get with that, though.
Okay.
Ain't no how stepping with Marcus J. live from New Den. legacy internet radio. This particular topic is still on the table. I want to move on to a couple other things. There was a question that I saw. Not even really a question. This I just want a quick hit from the room, and then we're gonna move on to a bigger topic. This was a small topic that I saw that kind of caught my eye. I want you guys' opinion on, but it's kind of those of us who have issues with the judicial system, with
black people,
sentencing, and all that kind of stuff. Steph, I want you to comment on this one first, right? Getting this one from Black Enterprise. Is talking about an elderly Black woman who was sent back to prison for not answering her phone during a computer class. 76-year-old Black woman enjoyed less than 2 months as a free woman before she was sent back to prison for not answering her phone. Gwen Levi first made media headlines in May when she was released from prison after serving 16 years due to the CARES Act. She was among 4,500 prisoners sent home to confinement as a precaution to spreading COVID in jails. At the time, Levi expressed her fear of being sent back to prison once the pandemic was over, but who knew that they would use such a minor offense to put this elderly woman back behind bars? Here's the deal. Here's what happened. She was in a class. Hold on. I lost my space here in the story here. All right, here we go. She was attending. All right, my computer is doing some weird stuff here. So I'm gonna just go off the dome.
Yeah.
She was attending a computer class, and while she's in the computer class, she ends up getting a phone call from the officials. Here we go. She was attending a class in Baltimore's Inner Harbor when officials noticed at 10:50 that her ankle monitor wasn't at her home address. She didn't answer her phone for a few minutes, and officials couldn't get in touch with her until 1:37 p.m. when her ankle monitor showed back up at her home, at her mother's home. Her mother's home. My
She
goodness.
lived with her mother.
Her mother. She's 76. Okay.
Her
Anyway.
mother's 94.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get it. Let's get it. First Lady of Legacy in that radio has a 105-year-old grandmother. So
wow.
There it is. Despite her being at class, the Bureau of Prisons labeled her as an escape. And then they promptly rearrested her and put her back in jail. So I want to talk about this. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this and give everybody an opportunity to kind of say their piece. I want the legal to speak last here. So we're gonna go Steph, John, and then me, and then Tamika. I want you to speak last on this topic. But Steph, you up first. We're not going back and forth on this one. We're going to just monologue this one, and then we're going to be done.
I think when I read the story, the first thing I thought about was recidivism and its connection to racism, right? We always talk about the recidivism rate for people re-entering prison, and we don't deal with these faulty probation and parole programs. And, this is a big example of how once you are connected to the system here in the United States in any way, you basically are at the mercy of whoever you come across within that system. Your amount of power is super limited. Your constitutional rights do not matter. When you are within that system, you have to hope, plead, pray, and everything else that you come across somebody with some common sense. The woman, when I read the article thoroughly, she tried to explain this, and they really just dismissed it, and they're already in the process of transferring her back to the federal prison she was at. It just is one of those things that, her initial fear was obviously well-founded when they let her out anyway for the CARES Act. By the way, this was over the potential of selling up to 1 kilo of heroin. So I even think the punishment doesn't fit the crime anyway. But when you look at recidivism in the United States and how they term Black people as risk or repeated risk, we don't often talk about how recidivism is reflected in faulty probation and parole here violations. It's ridiculous. To me, this should be something that people are willing to fight, and hopefully she has the right attorneys for it.
John, what's your thoughts, bro?
She's how old?
76.
How long was she in jail?
16 years.
Of 20.
So
Of
at
24.
so at 61,
60, 61.
at 61 they put her in jail for a non-violent crime.
Yes.
For 24
For
years.
24 years.
Okay, look, it doesn't.
That's longer than Derek Chauvin was sentenced for killing somebody.
Yeah, well,
Exactly.
here's the deal, right? Like I tell you before, like policing and the criminal justice system is the continuation of slavery, which is racism and white supremacy. Until people are willing to accept it, it's not going to change. We're still in the slavery system. There's nothing anyone can tell me. There's no explanation to be given for a 60-year-old woman to be placed in jail for a nonviolent crime, right? She could be sentenced to do community service. She could be sentenced to house arrest. She could be sentenced to go to school and help young people learn different things or whatever. But the amount of money that the state or federal government spends to incarcerate this woman for this period of time is gross negligence, in my opinion, because they're spending money for no reason. This woman is not a threat. She's not going to hurt anyone. And I don't know the case, but it sounds like somebody in her family was doing something and she was attached to it by owning a home or being in her house, a car, or something like that. I do not think she was setting up to buy. You know, she could have been, but I don't think that was the case. I don't know the case. Whatever it is, she didn't hit nobody in the head. She didn't arm rob. She didn't do any of that. She wasn't a threat. There's no reason for her to be behind bars. That's not what crime and punishment is supposed to look like, right? When people do certain things, they should be punished according to what they did, not according to some predisposed guidelines that are straight up racist, you know, and that's it for me.
You know, I'm one of those people who is unapologetically emotional. I'm an emotional dude. It's just what it is. I'm made up. It's what makes me dope because I appeal to people, and most people have an emotional side. So here's where it's going to get real emotional for me, right? It's got the 60-year-old lady who you put in prison for 24 years on drug charges. 24 years. So you basically sentenced this old ass grandma to life in prison because of drug charges. 24 years. As I stated a minute ago, and as we talked about in the previous topic, Derek Chauvin, a white man in a police uniform who murdered a man on video in front of the world, who wouldn't have gone to prison at all or been convicted if this young sister didn't film it, because we know what it is. We know what it is. 30 years ago, Rodney King got the brakes beat off of him and everybody went home. So we know that there's precedent for a video not meaning nothing, right? So he went to prison for 22 years, which I think, he's going for 22 and a half years and 15 or 8, whatever that is. He was sentenced 22 and a half for killing somebody in front of the world, in front of children, right there on the spot. But you got the 60-year-old grandma, and I don't know if she's got grandchildren, but most 60-year-old women,
2 sons, 2 grandchildren.
There you go. Most 60-year-old women have grandchildren, and obviously Steph confirmed that she does. 24 years? So she does 16, and she gets out only because we have a pandemic. And here she is taking a class. Okay. She violated some rules, maybe ankle bracelet, all of that. I can dig it. She violated a rule. They couldn't get her for a few hours. It's almost like when you have children and you can't find your children for a half a second and you almost lose your mind because you don't know where your child is for a minute. And you're like, you trip. And then you find them and you go, right? They couldn't find her for a couple hours. You gonna put her back in prison? You gonna put her back in prison though? Like really? You gonna put her back in prison when her original term? I mean, it was the laws, the guidelines. Cool. I'm an emotional dude. I don't give a fuck about your laws and your rules and your guidelines. I don't care about how long it say she's supposed to go to prison. Use your common sense. Is she a threat? Is she gonna harm somebody? 24 years? 24 years though, and she spent 16 and she ain't get out on no parole or nothing before that. No amnesty, no good behavior, nothing. I don't know the laws. I don't know the state. I don't know none of that. I'm using common sense and emotion here, right? Common sense and emotion here. And because she took a class and didn't answer the phone, you gonna send her back to a federal penitentiary for real though? I mean, this is the frustration that I have with the criminal justice system. Yes. Because 24 years, ain't nobody die? Ain't nobody die though, for real? This is why I get upset. She already did 16 years. We talking about Derek Chauvin only gonna do 15. This is why I get frustrated. This is why I come on here and I cuss. Because that's all I can do. Is cuss. Now we lobby, we march, we do activism, we do other things. It's not all we can do, but I'm emotional right now. Legal. Tell me why I'm tripping. Maybe you can't. Maybe you agree with me. This is where you speak your piece.
So, as you were talking, I got to quickly look at stuff, right?
I was giving you time. That's why I was monologuing.
You saw me?
Yeah.
So my quick fingers, I'm pulling up her actual document. So let's go back, right? She was convicted by plea agreement on conspiracy to distribute. Okay. She appeals. So she was convicted for conspiracy to distribute and possess with intent to distribute 1 kilo or more of heroin. She pleaded guilty to the charge pursuant to a plea agreement with the government. However, she breached the agreement by refusing to testify at the trial of 3 of her co-defendants, one of whom was her son.
Yeah.
So
that's what John said.
Yeah.
John, knowing the story, knew that she was holding on.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. So I think it's important. It's important to know that she breached a plea agreement, and so the feds are probably pissed, right? They're being petty at this point. So while I agree with what you're saying, Marcus and John and even Seth, I agree with all of that. So common sense and the argument should be that she should not be returned to prison, because as I was reading through some other stuff really quickly, it looks like she also has some form of lung cancer. So at like 74 or 76, they have to medically treat her for that. So it feels like the government is expelling. Yeah, they're expelling more money than what it's worth to treat her for cancer, or she's just going to get subpar treatment. But that's another conversation to have, right? So,
I know people go to jail, get their teeth fixed.
Yeah,
I know that personally.
And she's also in the federal system. So, now whether they should have treated her as an escapee, I think that those are very strict terms. She was released and she's required to answer when her PO calls. So I'm a little confused as to the facts of her case, because I'm wondering why her PO didn't already know ahead of time that she had to go off site to go to class.
I'm quite sure
she had to get that approved.
I'm quite sure there's a document someplace where she applied for that privilege.
It should have. And if her lawyer didn't bring it up, he certainly should have done so. With this. So when you are an escapee or whatever, as far as probation is concerned, when you abscond supervision, the remedy to that is to issue a direct arrest and go to jail, and then they figure it out on the back end. They don't try to hear your excuse.
Let's talk about it, right?
Yeah, they don't want to hear about it on the front end. They're like, look, I got this paper in my hand. You abscond to supervision. We got to put you in jail and then figure it out later. That's all they really care about.
Settle it, right?
Yeah. So whether she should stay, I don't think so. I don't think she should stay behind bars for a myriad of reasons. First of all, she's elderly. She's got cancer. So it's costing you, me, and everybody else more money to keep her in than it is to let her be out and just stay on supervised release. However, she does have to follow all the rules to her supervised release, and the feds they're pissy, right? Because as I've told y'all before, the feds don't go after you unless they know they have you, because they're not going to waste that money and resources. And the fact that she entered into an agreement and then she didn't follow the agreement, you know, that was enough for them to say and maybe try to push for something on the higher end of the spectrum when it comes to her, which is probably why she got so much time, because she didn't do what she was supposed to do, and we don't know her priors.
Well, you
So
know,
That's a
the
good
feds
point.
have those tools, and that's why their conviction
Oh yeah,
rate is
you
so
can break
high,
the whole weight of
because
the
their
United
sentencing
States.
guidelines have no room, no wriggle room.
Right.
Right? It's not like
Right.
the state. But
Right.
a situation like this, it has become a high enough profile case that, come on, Joe Biden, Great White Hope.
I mean, I
Let's
don't
go
think
ahead
he's
and
going to
commute
step
this.
in, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why he's not going to step in, because it has to deal with heroin and the fact that she was supposed to testify against her people, and they delayed sentencing so that she could do her part, and she didn't. And now you're
Yeah, but
talking about
somebody
in the
has
middle
to,
of a heroin epidemic.
right, but somebody has to start stepping up and using what we said a few times in here, which I don't believe in, common sense. I don't believe in common sense. I think the vast majority of the world is stupid. There's a few smart people, and most of the smart people run stuff and take advantage of the stupid people by doing things like this.
It's
But I
true.
think someone needs to step up and say, this is ridiculous, because it's ridiculous. I
I
don't
don't
care.
disagree, but the law doesn't really care about common sense most
Right,
of the
but
time, as you can see.
this is the problem. This is the problem we have,
Yeah.
and this is a continuation. All right, directly after slavery, vagrancy laws were
Sure.
instituted
On
and,
purpose.
and specifically designed only to apply to blacks.
On purpose. Yep.
Right, vagrancy, loitering, disorderly conduct. Whenever you hear these terms, these are slave catcher laws.
Mhm.
Right? And they put these laws on the books so that when they released the slaves from the plantation and they didn't have any place to go or anything to do, they said, oh, so now because we can lock you up and make you a slave again, the prisons would rent them back out to the plantations, where the plantation owners didn't even care about feeding them or doing anything. They worked them to death at that point because they were no longer their property. They were just renting them from the state. They were machines.
Mhm.
So this is the same situation that's happening now, because what these institutions are doing, the state and the federal, is they're locking these people up. They're giving them addresses in places where they will get political power for them, and they have no access to that political power, and they continue doing it.
Yeah.
And they have the work programs and different things, and they're making money. These people, prisons are productive places, and they're not paying these people, and they're taking the tax dollars to pay for their average $90,000 per inmate per year.
We when we see a story like this, at least when I do,
Mhm.
of course, it's going to elicit emotion because everybody see Big Mama,
Mhm.
and legally, she's created a lot of her own problems.
Mhm.
On what you're saying, on I read the article briefly, and as I'm monologuing, as John Ston, as Steph and John are monologuing, you're actually
Terrible.
looking at yeah, right. Mustan, yeah, right. That's good. Mustan, yeah. As we're in here monologuing, you actually went to the legit case and came back with the story. The story doesn't move me because everything with me is built around emotion and common sense. Emotion and common sense says you did something wrong, yeah, you got to go to prison. This ain't worth 24 years, no matter what we find out about it. And 16 years in, you went to a class and you didn't pick up the phone for a couple hours, doesn't mean you go back for 8 more.
Right.
Know what the law says? Fuck the law.
Well, no, the law doesn't say that she has to go back for all 8. The
No.
law doesn't say she has to go back for all 8. She should, and hopefully her lawyer can successfully argue they can violate her and she'd not go back at all.
Yeah.
Out of just initially being there, but that's going to be between her lawyer and the feds. But just know that the feds are hungry. They want her because she didn't do what she was supposed to do.
I can dig that. Ain't no hostile Marcus J live from New Den Legacy and that radio. Before we transition, of course, we wait all night, every show for this one person to check in, and she checked in.
About us.
And she said morning, and so when she says morning, we always reply back to her by saying, as a crew, good morning,
Sue.
yeah. And you know why we do that, right? Because I know it probably irks the hell out of it. And you can't get this. Yeah. I love her though. I love her more than she know. That's my sister Sue. Ain't no ass Steph Marcus J. Live from New Den, Legacy and that radio. Steph, you want to talk about the Democrats and the GOP and how they relate to each other and
the GQP?
Yeah, let's get it. Let's get it.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because John had just
Democrats.
mentioned Biden, and you know, I'm gonna say this: if the Democrats hold on to anything in 2022, I will be surprised. You know, I'm watching them in this crazy desire to negotiate with the people who are basically domestic terrorists, which is the alternative party at this point. People who support domestic terrorism don't want to investigate it, have just said defund the military. Let me tell you something. Half of the talking points that have come out of Fox News in the past 2 to 3 weeks would be utilized. If they came out of the Democrats' mouth, they would be utilized over. I mean, look how long they ran on defund the police, to the point of where we almost ended up with Trump again.
Benghazi.
And Benghazi. I mean, and there's plenty of others. When I look at this current Democratic Party, I'm like, these are some weak ass, and you fill in the blank. They're just weak. And it comes down to this, you know, bipartisanship. This is exactly what I anticipated would be the issue with Biden, is his desire to reach across the aisle. We're no longer there. We haven't been there since Obama came in. It's time to just push things through. We got 2 Supreme Court justices by adjusting the filibuster rule, not getting rid of it, not demolishing it, but certainly by adjusting it. We need to be able to do the same thing for the George Floyd Policing Act. We need to be able to do the same thing the next time a democratically nominated Supreme Court justice comes up. It's at a point where I don't trust them. A Democrat couldn't, what do they say? You can't bust a grape in a fruit fight. That is the Democrats.
You know,
the level of chill that they have and this desire to seem to be magnanimous or human or more humane is disgusting right now.
First of all, Sue says she knows where I live.
You putting the threat out
which
in public.
Is true. So I'm probably not going to talk mess about her for the rest of the show.
You know, you always got a hide spot in the New Den. She don't know where it is.
That's true too. But Sue got away with me, man.
I'll pop them for you.
Yeah, she got. Yeah. I'll just let her get me. Let her get me. Ain't no ask Steph Marcus J. All right, so the Democrats, right? You know, people expect that black folks and gay people and Latinos and all of the marginalized groups. I'll say that, and I hate saying that. I really hate saying that, but that's just the lingo that we're using for the purpose of identifying who I'm trying to identify. I'll just say those people identify with the Democratic Party. When you look at the Republican Party is filled with white men and some white women, but white men. So when we look at our country and we look at racism, you know, they don't like it when you call them racist. And I'm not saying that they are.
I am.
Okay, fine, fair enough. I'm not saying that they are. But when you look at how you move, if it quacks like a duck and it barks like a dog, and all of those little corny ass analogies, you see where this is going, right? They ain't got nothing to do with what Steph brought up. I just kind of wanted to say that. Now that I've gotten that out of my system, I look at the Democrats and I get really, really frustrated because they don't never seem to have no backbone when it comes to this kind of stuff. Like the Republican Party, they was like, Barack Obama, you the president, but you in the last part of your presidency, and nah, you don't get to appoint no Supreme Court justice. We ain't giving you the chance. Deal with it.
Yeah.
And guess what the Democrats did? They dealt with it. And so when Donald Trump came in and he had the exact same situation came up with less amount of time, they pushed that joint through. Why? Because that's how they move. That's how they move. That's what we doing, yo. That's how we doing. You got to respect that. I am a person who considers myself an alpha. So alpha moves are alpha moves. You gotta, what's the phrase? Game, respect, game. So as an independent, as a person who considers himself a moderate, it's hard for me to look at them and say, yo, hey man, your tactics and how you, I can look at the other side, the Democratic side, and say, what y'all gonna do? What y'all gonna do? You don't represent me no more than they do. You think you do, but if you really did, then you would show some spine and you would stand up to these people and you would push some stuff through the way they do. So that makes me want to ask the question, is it as important to you as it is to the people? Is the George Floyd bill as important to you as it is to the people? Is the John Lewis bill as important to you as it is to the people? Because if it was, then you figure out a way to push it through. These people are aggressive. Ain't no passive aggressive going on. These people are aggressive. This is how we move. Yo, we want Barack Obama to be a one-term president. They said that shit. It came right out with it. It wasn't no hiding. It wasn't no pretty lingo, no grand pretty prose or none of that. It was, we want Barack Obama to be a one-term president. What? What y'all gonna do? What? That's how they move. So, right? So the Democrats don't move like that. They don't. They always want to sit down and have a conversation and be magnanimous and be partisan and sit down and have a conversation and make discussions about how we're going to all work together and all this kind of stuff. Man, these people don't want to work with you. They don't want to work with you. They want to do what they want to do. They want to run the country the way they want to run the country. So what you going to do? I get frustrated when I watch this. I've been old enough to vote since 1992. And I've been voting ever since. 29 years. I've been voting. 30 years almost. I've been voting. Every single cycle, it's the same old thing. We got to have the same conversation every single time. The first time I dealt with this in my life was when Al Gore punked out and didn't want to fight against George Bush. When he got more votes than the other guy. And he stepped back and decided that he didn't want to fight. Why you ain't want to fight? We could have been done with all this if Al Gore would have fought. But he didn't want to fight. He stepped back and the Supreme Court selected the president. Not elected the people. The Supreme Court selected the president. So the space that we in right now is a space that we've been in since I was 18 years old. I'm 47. Since I was 18 years old is all I knew. I have never, ever had a party that I can say I can vote for. Never. So I have never, I'm almost done. I've never been a partisan person. I've always voted my conscience, and I've always voted for the person or persons who I thought would represent me and people like me. Yeah. It ain't never been about no party for me because I realized that blue and red make purple. These are the purple people. Equal sides of the same bird. This the red side and this the blue side. And this is purple, right? This is how they move, and none of them care about you or me. They're going to say they do. These are the same people who can argue with you, because I argue with them. I got time. I got time today, and some days I got even more time. These are the same people who will look you square in the eye and tell you January 6th was a riot or it was just regular folks up in there, riot. Oh, okay, I could deal with a riot because that's what they do when somebody black gets killed by the police and they get mad and they burn some stuff down. That's a riot. An insurrection ain't no damn riot. That's when they plan to come up in here. They plan to murder people. They take the flag of a country that has already lost, the Confederate flag, the Nazi flag. They already lost. And they show up on the Capitol and they fight against police officers. And you got Republican elected officials who will tell you that it wasn't that bad. When they came for your vice president, who's red, just like you are, these are the people the Democrats are supposedly fighting against. You can't come to this gang fight with a knife. You got to show up with the same weaponry they got. And you not. You move like a bunch of punks. And I got a problem with that. Now I'm finished.
So here's the deal.
Put my glasses back on.
I'm about
I couldn't see while I was talking.
I'm about to hurt some feelings. And I'm sorry for the feelings I'm gonna hurt. Sorry, y'all. But they all down with it. None of them want the Floyd bill passed, Democrat or Republican. It's all a show. They're playing a game. Biden don't want it. Kamala Harris don't want it. All of them in the game don't want it. They don't want the John Lewis bill. They don't want any of that stuff. They don't want people voting. They don't want the government is running exactly how they want it to run, and all of them are in on it, right? Because if you and I are sitting here in the new den and we understand what's going on and we see it and we hear it and we know what's correct, these people spend their lives. This is their life work dealing with this stuff. You think they don't know? You think they don't know how to work around? You think they don't know what's going on? They all know. They're all in on it. It's orchestrated. It's scripted. It's more scripted than wrestling. What they doing, right? They're not gonna do anything that's gonna affect the change that's gonna help the common people. I had a discussion with somebody earlier today or maybe yesterday, and I explained to them that racism doesn't have anything to do with race. Racism has to do with economics, right? And racism and white supremacy is how the country is set up and how it's run. But it's not based on people being black or white. It's based on people being rich or poor, right? And so the way you keep the poor people preoccupied, right, is with this nonsense that we're dealing with, talking about common sense thing. Why is there no anti-lynching law? Why? Because that's something for regular people to argue about while we go steal some money. While we go award a multi-billion-dollar contract to this friend of mine. While we get this, that's on the Republican side. On the Democrat side, while we go get these many grants to these people to go study why ducks stick their butt out the water. You know, that's my friend from college who wrote a book, and I'm gonna give him a multi-million-dollar contract to study ducks' butts, right? So while we arguing about an anti-lynching law, which ain't never gonna happen, because it would have happened 150 years ago, it's not gonna ever happen, because then you have to get into the criminal justice system. Why this woman is in jail? Why they spending all this money to keep her in jail, and she's not a threat to nobody? Right? While all these other people are in jail for nonviolent crimes and they spending this money to keep them in jail, and it would cost less to keep them out of jail. You can get them people $30,000 to say don't go to jail. They would never go to jail, commit another crime, ever. But you're going to spend more money to keep them in jail. Why? Because you got to keep the system rolling. And they all know it. The Democrats, the Republicans, they're all the same. They're all evil. They're all racist. All of them. And the ones that ain't evil and racist are stupid. Same difference to me, right? So when we start talking about these things, the only reason I even bring up political things in it when I say where's Biden or where's this one or what's that, to show people the absurdity of what we're dealing with, the fallacy, the idea that we are actually actively participating on this great level when the outcome is already decided. You know what's going on in states right now? The way they are redistricting, the way people are moving out of blue states into red states quietly, right? The way they're doing things. Walmart ran a commercial about our lowest paid people is $13 an hour. At the same time, they cut the jobs by 30%. They're paying people more, but they got less people to pay. Right? Then they talking about all these other different programs and this and stuff and why Biden can't do. Biden knows he can't get any of the stuff done that he want done. He could push it through. He could hand out checks. Trump was going to get the FEMA money and call out a stimulus check. He could do that on presidential order. He's not going to do that. He's going to wait to next year for them to lose the House, lose the Senate. Everybody's going to cry. He's going to lame duck it out. And they're going to get another Republican in, or maybe even Kamala get in on some love, on some real ground roots working energy, black woman love. We can get her in. And they're going to do the same thing to her. They're going to hold a House, hold a Senate, and she'll do nothing until they find somebody to come in there to reorganize everything and get back in the system that they wanted to get in, which is black people poor, and black people represent the poor and the danger of the country. White people who are poor will blame themselves being poor on black people, make hate and division a part of everything, while the same exact people, Jefferson, Washington, Franklin, Hamilton, all those rich slave-owning pedophiles and their lineage are still controlling everything.
You know, I have Steph Marcus J live from New Den Legacy and that radio. Our sister Michelle checking us out says, good show as always. Thank you, Michelle, for rocking with us. Let's see what you got to say, Steph. There's a lot going on here. You spoke on it? All right, it's just a lot going on, man. Legal. What you got, man?
Well, I don't think I could have really said it any different than, dealing with John and stuff. But I do think that it speaks volumes that it takes this much discussion and negotiation to get an anti-lynching bill, right? When it did not take a lot of discussion and consideration for the AAPI hate crimes bill. So one of the things that I think is inefficient with the system all the way around is, generally speaking, there's already provisions for this type of behavior in place. You have the 14s with discrimination, you have hate crimes, you have all of those things already in place, but now you're kind of getting into the realm of defining what is, right? And I don't think that we really need to be wasting time on doing that. Utilize what's already there, because the avenue is already there. They just don't want to use it. So now you're trying to put something else in place to force it being used. And it's just very clear as to when it comes to Black and brown people, a decision can't be clearly cut and made. But when it comes to Asian and Pacific Islanders, and I'm not saying anything, I have plenty of friends that are Asian Pacific Islanders and other, descents and races and such, ethnicities. But it's just very telling that things from other people can come very quick, very swiftly. And when it comes to us, it takes a lot of time and thought and consideration. You have to get it just right to make sure. So I don't think we're going to see this come anytime soon. Even I think it was yesterday.
Here, let me give you a hint.
Yeah. I think even yesterday, AOC might have been on Meet the Press talking about it. And even as strong and as vigorous as she is, she seemed to be kind of like, well, we're working on this and kind of negotiating and trying to work it out. So at the end of the day, I agree with Marcus. People only pander to us when it's election time because they want our vote. But at the end of the day, it's nothing. It's not for us. It's not to protect us. It's not for us.
Ain't no how Steph Marcus J live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. All right, so listen, I want to change directions again. I want to bring up this one's going to be interesting, John. This is the one you sent in to us earlier today, where the sister was making the comments about black feminism. And I want to hear, because we got a couple of sisters that are with us, obviously, our sister Steph B and our sister Legal Eagle Tamika Robinson. So I want to play this clip for us all to listen to. I want us to listen to her speak, and then we're gonna talk about it. We good? All right, let's take a listen.
Here, let me give you a hint. So I was reading an online article to which I came across something that I didn't know about Gloria. It talks about Gloria's new book, My Life on the Road, recounting her life, journeys, and travels, but look at the bottom paragraph. What is often missed or mischaracterized, however, is the work she did as a CIA agent. Steinem was a spook. Confused, I decided to dig a little deeper. Black Feminism, the CIA, and Gloria Steinem. What follows is a fact sheet about Gloria Steinem's operations against the various social and political movements in America, particularly her role in creating a hateful and virulent strain of Black feminism that attacks Black men while partnering with the white establishment. Steinem first came across the radar of Black men when she put a book called Black Macho and the Myth of the Superwoman by Michelle Wallace on the cover of Miss Magazine, to which she controlled. Let's read on. The book was written by a Black feminist and activist, quote unquote, named Michelle Wallace, who came out of nowhere. She was in her early 20s, yet she was being touted as the leader of Black feminism. In the book, Wallace called abolitionists like Harriet Tubman and Sojourner Truth ugly and stupid for supporting Black men. She called Black revolutionaries chauvinist macho pigs and advised Black women to go it alone. Go it alone? Do it alone? I don't know. But peep what Gloria said. Gloria Steinem said that Wallace's book would define the future of Black relationships, and she pushed hard to make sure the book received massive publicity. Define the future of Black relationships? What's the bottom line? The bottom line is the so-called Black feminist movement was created and manipulated by the CIA from the very beginning. The only difference between Black revolutionaries and Black feminists on this issue is that Black revolutionaries know they were infiltrated and manipulated, but Black feminists are still unwilling to admit that they were infiltrated and manipulated, largely because they are highly invested in the hateful brand of Black feminism. It is now a central part of the culture of Black women, and this fact has led to the destruction of the Black Revolution and the complete distortion of Black relationships. And the CIA had a direct hand in creating this situation. So, Black woman, Gloria Steinem, your American journalist, feminist, social political activist, and CIA agent, she was used to cause disunity in the Black family through the use of feminism. Remember that book we read earlier, the one on the Black myth by Michelle? She said that would be the future for Black relationships. Nothing positive in that book was written about the Black men. They were putting them down. So the next time you think about supporting her, ask yourself, do you know Gloria Steinem? Here, let me give you a hint. So I was reading an online article to which I came across something that I didn't.
So what made me even bring that up as a subject is not anything against Black feminism and direct, as individual people practice it, and I think it's a necessary situation in our society because Black women suffer some of the most hateful stuff in this country. Probably the most hateful stuff in this country falls upon them, and they definitely need it. My interest in this had to do with was something I speak about often, is the destruction of the Black family. And this is how we got the war on drugs and things of that nature, which separated Black men and Black women intentionally, so that the Black children would not have that strong family unit. And then when they began to attach everything that wasn't Black to civil rights, it's the same way. Civil rights was supposed to be Black people's methodology to equality and equity in the country. But now there are more people, more white people filing civil rights violations, suits against states and other people than Black people are. Right? And getting the better end of the deal. It's like the $5 Indians. Right? As soon as there's something, there will never be anything in this country produced that will positively affect Black folks until they find a way for white folks to equally benefit on it. this benefit from it this way, continuing the gap, right? They're never going to close the gap or try to close the gap. So whenever something is being handed out, whenever something is being proposed, whenever you see something that is being touted as here you are, here's the thing you need that's going to make it better, know that it's a Trojan horse and know what you're dealing with. Like I said, Black women have their issues, and their issues are mighty, right? And it's a need, it is a need for their issues and the situation to be brought to the forefront within the community. But what we have to deal with, that, in my opinion, is dealing with understanding the psychological torture and how messed up their heads are, right? And let's deal with that among ourselves and not bringing, and it's always a problem when we start bringing others into it under the guise that they're going to be helpful. They're never helpful. They're never helpful. Even when they think they're being helpful, they're not being helpful because they do not share in the pain, but they want to share in the pleasure, right? They can't even fathom what it is we're dealing with. But for some reason, we always got this. It's like the Black Panther movie. Why was the white guy in there? Why did he have to go to Wakanda? They could have just left him there and let him die. Yeah, we didn't need him. But here he goes saving the day in the plane. Right? We needed the white man. Had to have a white man or it couldn't happen. So that was my thing more with not her direction, not with what she was talking about, what I'm talking about, and that is we got to handle our business within our community. We have to understand why these things are going on. These things are going on because we have been battered psychologically for 300 years. Right? And the heads, people are messed up, and hurt people. Right? And I who consider myself an educated, intelligent individual, just recently started understanding how bad stuff is for Black women. And that's mainly because of Steph.
Yeah.
Because she was able to articulate it to me in such a way that made my brain wrap around it.
I'm not sure.
You know, as I listened to her, honestly, when I was listening to her, I was in and out because I like, why is she talking about this? Like, as I'm listening to her,
right?
Like, why are we talking about this? Like the whole Gloria Steinem thing, like I was lost, me personally, because I know, just as a Black man, I know that, first of all, sister is the birth of our, not only us, but of all civilization. Hard stop. We talk about feminism. Like, why are we talking about Gloria Steinem? Like, because
that's the hook that people hang it on.
No, that's the hook. You follow.
I got
she
you.
She knew what she was doing. Go ahead.
I got you. But I'm like, why we even care about Gloria Steinem? Like, this weekend, right? I didn't mention this when we talked about the weekend. One of the things that I did was I watched the Different World reunion. A big part of the reason why y'all sitting here with me right now is because I grew up watching A Different World. Between Charles Oakley and the TV show A Different World, it's a big part of the reason why I'm in Richmond, Virginia, at Virginia Union University.
Yes.
And in season 1, when Denise Huxtable left Brooklyn and went to Virginia to go to HBCU, her roommate was a white girl. And I remember at the time thinking that was weird. Ain't that supposed to be HBCU? What's she doing there? Why are you there? And white people always seem to find themselves in our space, you know, and it's not that we want to exclude them, but there are times where you should probably not be here. This is HBCU, and we're inclusive by nature, so we're not going to tell you not to come, but why do you want to be here? This is our space. And you got everything. It's a white world. The computer out the box is like white people. It's the default. Everything is the default. America is a default to white people and white culture. It just is what it is. And so when I hear her talking, I'm like, why are you talking about Gloria? Why are we even talking about her? You know, I'm thinking to myself every single time we as Black people and our sisters in particular make some sort of advance, white women find a way in the middle of it. Like Me Too.
That is my concern.
Like Me Too. Me Too was a
No,
situation.
serious.
Well, hold on.
Okay.
Let me hold on. Me Too was sisters. And now all of a sudden it's mainstream and white women are all over it. And I'm not throwing shade. I'm speaking truth. Just like critical race theory. We talk about truth. We're not talking about Black people mad at white people. We mad at y'all because y'all scared of the truth. Right? This ain't got nothing to do with Gloria Steinem. This got everything to do with sisters standing up for themselves and for us as brothers. So as I'm listening to her, I'm like, why did you spend all of that time talking about her? Why? I didn't get it. I just didn't get it. So we spoke. Nope. We spoke. They speak now. I want to hear the sisters.
Go last.
Okay. Legal, you up first. What you got?
So, of course, I don't know too much on Gloria Steinem other than she's a feminist or whatever that wrote some articles back in the 60s, and she had testified about the Equal Rights Amendment in the 70s or so. But just hearing that particular clip, I was confused as to why she kept mentioning Gloria Steinem so much, as if she's trying to say Gloria infiltrated and has somehow messed up the Black feminist movement. I mean, I'm trying to follow out what she said, but I'm kind of like Marcus. I was zoning in and out because she was talking so fast. I'm like, what is she talking about? So I'd probably have to hear it 2 or 3 times to really get the gist of what she was saying. But generally speaking, if what I'm understanding is correct, I don't think that Black feminism has necessarily contributed to the downfall of the Black family. I think that is a very far stretch, and I almost kind of feel that because the Black family has been so destructive, that it's been destroyed so much, not just by Black feminists, but by other outside sources, that kind of is part of the reason why we have Black feminism in place, because we kind of had to step up and step in when our family was being destroyed, holding it together. I'm so sorry if you hear my kid squealing in the background because he's in protest. He wants to get in the tub, and they don't want him in the tub right now.
Yeah, you got computer love on your phone going on right now. I can barely hear you, but I think we got the gist of what you're saying. Steph, jump in with Steph.
All right. So many things, all the things, every one of the things. First of all, just reflecting on that sister's failed attempt. Her ultimate statement really was her last statement. Her intention was to deride and denigrate Black feminism because she doesn't truly have an understanding of it. And she hit that point at the very end when she reflected on it as a breakdown of Black society as far as a familial society. So immediately, this is the problem with one, pseudoscience and scientific racism and these beliefs which we now buy into, which is these beliefs of emasculation, which is really what she was reflecting on when she got to the end of it all, and saying that, it's the breakdown and it's anti-Black man, basically, is what she's saying. And when you get into all of that, you immediately tell me that you haven't done your homework. So I've read Michelle Wallace's book, which is called Black Macho, and the Myth of the Superwoman. And I think that if you're going to have discussions about Black feminism, they can't they can't start in your gonads, right? You got to remove yourself from your penis for a minute because it ain't about you. It's not. It's about us as a society. And when you read Black Macho and the myth of the Superwoman, she is in there speaking about how society has tainted things so significantly post-slavery that it hypersexualized and gave hypermasculinity to Black men, and it gave Black women this complex of having to be superhuman and super strong. And she breaks that down very systematically. Now, do I believe in everything that she says there? No. But that book was also written in the first wave of Black feminism, or not even the first wave, maybe the second. We're now in the fourth wave of Black feminism. And for the people who are not educated on that, you should Google it, do your research, do some homework. Black feminism now is focused on things that will make everyone better, which is intersectionality, the understanding of equity and gender in corporate places or in workspaces and things like that. I find it interesting that when we want to emphasize how white people infiltrate, that's the video we went to. If that was really the point you wanted to make, that was not the way to do it, because often what becomes the problem is Black feminism is often used as the central reason for why we've had this breakdown in Black society, and it absolutely is not. It absolutely is not. And to utilize that and to say, well, this is how white systems divide people. No, Black feminism didn't come from that. First of all, white systems have divided Black people in so many other ways. We could talk about the Black Panthers. We could talk about civil rights from Malcolm X to Martin Luther King. Every Black power structure has been infiltrated by white people in some way, purely for the needs of making sure it didn't become too powerful. Gloria Steinem being utilized. I'm going to tell you something. I'm 44 years old. I have never cited Gloria Steinem for why I represent as a womanist, meaning I prioritize Black women and Black children. I say that repeatedly because I need people to understand that. Black women and Black children first and foremost. That is who I prioritize, because I know within a systemic structure that we currently live in, those are the people that are identified last as needing. Sojourner Truth and people like that are where Black feminism came from. It came out of slavery when Black women were trying to identify their place in society after having been at the bottom of even the slave structure. At the bottom of the slave structure, they had to come out and say, oh, well, now, what do you think Ain't I a Woman came from? Trying to identify where we fit in this space. So when I hear people denigrate and downplay and try to make Black feminism the boogeyman of Black society, it's absolutely ridiculous to me. It's ridiculous in so many ways. I was thinking about this today, and, you know, when we think about feminism, feminism is more about teaching women the values of their whole life, the value of the entirety of their lives, outside of the intentionally limiting space that we are consistently put in as Black women. We do not have to be pack mules for other people's pain. We don't have to choose to be wives. We don't have to choose to be mothers. We have so many more options. And it is about exposing Black women to that and helping them understand that no matter what this systemic creation of denigration is that is being levied and lobbed at us with and for, we don't have to follow that. And anybody who is anti-Black feminist, meaning you don't understand the need for Black women to have equality in this society from perception to experience, I can't help you with that. I cannot help you with that. You know, it's like feminism all of a sudden is this package that someone delivered and said, hey, here, take this bomb in your house. That's absolutely not what it is. And the interesting thing is, when Black people who are undereducated about feminism speak of it, they speak exactly like white people. They speak exactly like white people speak about Black people when they are undereducated about the systems that Black people are trying to create in order to grow and to develop. And that is simply what modern day Black feminism is about. It's reflective of early feminism for a lot of reasons. And how we process that, we don't center whiteness. Black feminists in today's society, we do not give a shit about Gloria Steinem. I don't even know who the names of the other white feminists are because I don't fuck with them. And that's how annoyed I am right now, because I really think that, it's very easy for people to hop on this bandwagon and make Black women the boogeymen or boogie women of society, simply because we're saying we have an expectation of total equality. That means from top to bottom. And I'm just going to say this, because feminism alone is triggering. It is very triggering. People know the word. It is like CRT. You want to get Black people arguing about why Black love is not thriving and surviving, which is bullshit. Plenty of Black marriages out there. Plenty of Black marriages that are making it. So don't believe the hype on that. But if you want to get people to all of a sudden say, oh yeah, there's a problem in Black society, talk about feminism. That's the exciting point. That's the salient thing for them. When at the end of the day, what people need to understand is that masculinity has been put into a structure that is just as harmed as femininity. For instance, when you think about one of the primary Black feminists out there right now, who is often speaking, and she's often speaking about Blackness and Black men. Black masculinity has been put into a cage. It has been put into a limiting cage. And when you say feminism, it immediately highlights it. Black masculinity has to be less soft. It has to be less emotional. It has to be less profound in its hearing and less profound in its understanding of the needs of other people in order to be considered masculine. It's in a small, tight, narrow cage. And something like feminism comes along and all of a sudden you think it's breaking you, when in actuality, it is lifting the people who lift you most. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Okay, so I don't have a problem with anything you said. My whole thing with that situation had to do with more of the fact of when we bring white people into our situation, when they start attaching their wagon to our trail, it always works against us.
Black women are not listening to white feminists.
I'm good with that. I am
so
the undereducated.
Take Black feminism out of the conversation.
This is here because I'm undereducated.
Okay.
So
well,
now you're you're
yeah.
telling me in this fourth stage, right? Inside the current Black feminist movement, there are no white women who are integral to its progress at this point.
There are no white women that Black feminist leadership is taking their cue from or listening to. And if you
wonderful.
If you can't acknowledge that Black women are the most outspoken against white women and their BS, I don't know what we're talking about. We're not the ones who statistically are demonstrating we don't know how to live within our structure.
That was the question.
That wasn't a question.
That was a
question. How this started.
No,
you're not getting off this hook.
I'm not on a hook. Well, let's be clear about that. First and foremost, I'm not on a hook.
No,
because no, wait.
When we play
first of all,
video like that, it is damaging.
No, first of all,
it is damaging.
I'm not on a hook, right? The reason that I even paid attention to that is because I said why. Last week, the week before that, I made an emphasis about the destruction of the Black family and what it has
done. Black feminism. Nothing.
No, but it has to do with white people hitching their wagons to our trail. And that's what that video was about. That's what it said to me.
About the infiltration of the Black Panther Party.
We've already done
up
that.
A video about the infiltration of the civil
rights.
This is the first time I
ever heard about. This is the first time I ever heard about Gloria Steinem being a CIA agent and promoting discourse within
quoting her.
Okay.
Nobody cares about Gloria Steinem.
Again, this is the first time I heard anything about her being a CIA agent and sowing discourse within the Black feminist movement.
In what year?
So now I don't know what year. This was the first time I heard it. And what it incensed in me was, again, like Me Too and other movements and Black Lives Matter. White people put themselves in the middle of it and destroy it. And that's what they have done forever. That made me consider that. It didn't make me think that any of what you said previously was invalid or that I was indifferent to any of it.
I don't care about whether you think what I'm saying is invalid. I understand bringing things to the audience, but what I'm saying is it is Black feminism is the easiest thing to go in on. And I have a daughter who's 23 years old out there living in this world right now. And I'm going to tell you that Black feminism is the only reason she's having some of the experiences that she's having. It's the only reason she's having some of the positive experiences that she's having. And it's simply because Black women keep coming for the necks of the people that work against us. And you must understand that there are no modern day Black feminists who are in this fourth wave, third wave even, who are really speaking up for Black women that give a damn about Gloria Steinem.
So we're good.
Let me jump in here because I hear what both of you are saying. And what I hear John saying is, I saw this video, I was curious about it, so I wanted to run it by the crew and see what the hell this is all about because I didn't know. Is that pretty close?
That's pretty close.
All right, so hard stop. No, hard stop. No. Hard stop. For the purpose of but for the purposes of where I'm going, I'm hard stopping. Hard stop.
Because Marcus, you're wrong. That's not his point. But go ahead.
And which is
go ahead, bro.
And it was part of my point.
No,
it was a big
stop.
part of my point.
Hard stop.
You can't say it wasn't my point.
Hard
it was part
stop.
of my point.
Hard stop. And what I'm hearing Steph say is, while the point that you were trying to get your question answered is understood, we don't care about her. She's irrelevant. She's a non-factor. So while you may be curious another way and ask your question in a different way, because bringing her or this woman mentioning her will incite a riot because she's irrelevant. We don't want to talk about her. Am I close?
Yes, close.
Okay, so here's what I'm saying. If I don't know right now if I don't know the design.
Hold on, I'm not quite finished. I just wanted to understand where both of you are coming from, right? This is where in a boxing match, y'all like hugging on each other, and the referee gets in and says, break, and then you come back and then you fight some more before you hug some more.
Steph is laughing because you soft-toed it a little bit. Because again, what I was saying,
I'm a moderate.
My point,
I'm a moderate.
My point.
What you want from me?
My point of this is
purple.
Because I'm not
purple people.
Because I'm not. Because what I'm saying that I'm not.
Tamika, I want you in here. You listening to this, right?
I don't want to appear to be disingenuous with what I'm saying. What I said was what this had to do with is white infiltration. I do not have enough information about the structure and organization of the quote unquote Black feminist movement in its current configuration to know that there is not white infiltration. I do know that the feminist movement, as it began, right, and as they put everybody else's rights on to civil rights and turned that into something that it wasn't supposed to be to this day, and the way that they did it with Me Too and Black Lives Matter, hearing that, which is something I had never heard before about Gloria Steinem and her deliberate contributions to the CIA and misinformation within the movement causing an issue, is something that I wanted to hear addressed. Steph addressed it. I'm good with that.
Okay. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy Net Radio. Tamika, I'm gonna give you the last word. Your last word here tonight before we let you go. You can address what you've been hearing as we've been speaking in here about what we're talking about, or you can go anywhere you want. But this will be your last word because we're gonna let you go here shortly.
All right. So I agree a lot with what Steph said. I will say, and I will admit that I am not an expert on the Black feminist movement at this point. So I don't know a lot of the key players to give that much information. But what I do know is, and I agree with Steph, that the leaders of the feminist movement, both now and in the past, I don't think that we've ever taken any cues or really advice from white women as to what we need to do to advance in this movement. So I understand, John, and I felt kind of bad because Steph was going in.
John can't hold his own.
I know, but
everybody, me and Steph ain't got no issue.
No beef.
None at all.
No beef at all.
But this is what it.
Just
This is
vigorous disagreement.
listen. This is what it has to be for growth to occur. Because if
That's true.
this don't happen, we won't never get anywhere with it.
Yeah.
That's true.
Because I'm a chauvinist.
You know,
And I got issues to deal with. I didn't even know how bad I was until Steph. So I'm still a work in progress. So this is gonna happen.
All the women who date him, y'all thank me. Y'all owe me something.
And Michelle is still with us, and thank you, Michelle, for rocking. Michelle says he knows now.
Yeah, now you know.
He knows now.
Ask the questions. Yes. Ask the questions. But yeah, I don't like how that's the part that has always annoyed me is people like this speaker and other folks that will say, well, the issues of the Black family unit and all of that's happening right now is a byproduct of Black feminism. I know that
No,
is
that I don't subscribe to that at all.
Yeah,
I think it has to do with I think it has a lot to do with the infiltration of white folks and the desire of people to have them be a part of what we do. I think we need to shut them out. Let's segregate.
Go ahead, finish your point.
I don't know. Segregation, not segregation, to use them as allies, to not use them as allies. It's hard to say because I know that sometimes we learn best and we can figure out how they move, right? You move how they move and watch them because they know when stuff is going down and how stuff is happening. To that extent, I agree. Segregating out, I don't know, maybe not, but I do know that the rhetoric that this particular person was giving in this audio clip is stuff that is not necessary and not needed and does nothing but really just hurts the movement and creates more discord and misinformation, and she needs to be corrected.
Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. First of all, I just want to say thank you to you, Tamika, for being with us. It's been 6 months since we've had you when we were in the original Den.
You counted it down? Dang.
Well, yeah, you know, because we were in the we were in the original Den, and we shut that down. We took a hiatus, and then the band kind of got fractured. And tonight was the first time in a while that the band was all together, and you know, we had a good time with you, and we need to see about making sure that we do this again, you know, because you know it's just better when you're here, and I appreciate you and I thank you. You're very important to the show, and I want you to know that. So thank you, and I'll give you an opportunity to respond to my mush and say whatever you want to say as you close out your visit with us tonight.
Well, thank y'all for having me and my crazy Virgo child here who refuses to do anything other than have some type of worldwide internet presence. It's just ridiculous. And the other one has got 2 handfuls of Cheerios right now.
We love
So thank y'all for having me and joining me in. I do miss y'all. I miss y'all a lot. And this is easy, but I do want opportunities to come and sit in close to y'all so that I can touch you and we can see each other, you know, sans masks and all now, right? Today they were like, what are you doing? Why is your face all done up? What is this? There's color on your lips. And I'm like, this is who I am. Okay, I'm not raggedy all the time. I try to look decent. So yes. Thank y'all, and I miss y'all. And this has been a good discussion and a good show as usual. So I'm always here when you need me.
You got it. We'll talk to you soon and kiss them babies for us. All right.
All right, bye guys.
All right, you got it. And you know I have Steppin Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. All right, so we're going to transition towards the final stages of the show as we do every single week. We'll start off with our moment in Black history. And let's see, this week in Black history, let's start with 1964. 1964, hundreds attack anti-segregation march in St. Augustine, Florida, injuring more than 50 black protesters. Sound familiar? Yeah, they're not about that, trying to get us to protest for our own benefit lives. 2001, white teens killed James Craig Anderson, a black man in a hate crime in Jackson, Mississippi. Let's see. 1844. Wow, that's a long time ago. After slavery is declared illegal in Oregon, the state this week passes its first laws prohibiting black people from living there and authorizing whipping of black people found living in Oregon. Wow. We're going to abolish slavery, but we still don't want you here. So if you come here, we're going to whoop that ass. Last but not least, on June 25th, 2009, we lost Michael Jackson. And I tell you, I remember the day. I remember being in the car. I remember hearing it come across the wire. I remember calling Kate up, and we had a whole conversation about how CNN and everybody else was lying because not Michael Jackson. We were so emotionally attached to him. I think, I've seen celebrity deaths before. We lived through Biggie and Pac and Eazy-E and Aaliyah. And Left Eye and Marvin Gaye and Luther Vandross and all of them, and others, obviously. But it was just, for me, I can't speak for nobody else, but for me, it was something about Michael Jackson dying that jacked me all the way up because he was one of my first favorites. I remember in 1979, my mother used to take me to school, Lutheran parochial school, every day in Jersey City, New Jersey. And it seemed like Rock With You would come on in the car on the way to school every day. It was my first favorite song. Michael Jackson was a singer, and I'll argue with anybody over the fact that Bad 1987 is the greatest music video in the history of music. And how Steppin Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. At this time, we also make sure we profile missing and or exploited children. Tonight's no different. As we've been doing, we're looking for two. We're looking for Keyshawn Harris. She's missing since June 5th, 2021. She's a black female, 15 years old, from Henrico County, Virginia. She's 5'6". She's 120 pounds. Keyshawn was last seen wearing a white tank top, black and white Adidas pants, blue denim jacket, and carrying a brown and turquoise book bag. She has 2 nose piercings and 1 facial piercing on the right side of her face. If you've seen Keyshawn Harris, please contact the National Center for Missing and or Exploited Children on their website, missingkids.org, or contact the Henrico County Police Department at 804-501-5000. We're also looking today for Tyshonda Jennings. She has been missing since June 26, 2021. That's just this weekend, from Chesterfield County. That's also here in the capital city area, Richmond, Virginia. She's a 14-year-old black female. She stands 5'5" and weighs 95 pounds. Tyshonda was last seen on June 26, 2021. She has a right nostril piercing and a birthmark on the left side of her back. She was also wearing a silver necklace. If you've seen Tyshonda Jennings, please contact the National Center for Missing and or Exploited Children on their website, missingkids.org, or the Chesterfield County Police Department at 804-748-1251. If you've seen Tyshonda Jennings, or if you've seen Keyshawn Harris, please contact the National Center for Missing and or Exploited Children on their website, missingkids.org, or contact them at 1-800-LOST, 1-800-843-5663. 888. Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J. Live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. At this time of the show, we will transition to our rants, to our closings, where each of us, usual suspects, has an opportunity to end with our closing salvo. My brother John, you have the con. My brother, take us home. What you got?
Overall, y'all, everybody already knows how I go with it. Vote local. Get people who are interested in bettering your life in office where it affects you. And that's how we will have things happen on a national level. Right now, states are being taken over by white supremacists one at a time. And this country is not going to look anything like it looked 10 years ago in the next 4 years if we're not careful. The Democrats, the Dummycrats, whatever you want to call them, they're part and parcel with it. They know what's going on and they don't care. They're gonna have their jobs. They're gonna make their money, no matter how bad you suffer. And to my white people who are listening, if y'all are listening, it's not gonna get any better for you either. It's not. You're not gonna get any more money. They're not gonna bring any jobs to your area. Nothing's gonna happen to you. And what they're gonna do under the auspices of stopping black people from taking advantage of the country is have you miss out on all of the things that are designed to help you when you need help. The safety net in this country did not have black people in mind when it was designed. It was designed to benefit you coming out of the Depression. The idea of a safety net just came about to us about 49 years ago, that we could actually benefit from some of the things set up to help people who are struggling in this country. And even that was done to destroy us and make things worse, not better, because we were making strides without it. We were making so many strides without it. They said they had to introduce it to us to bring us down, and it did. So be careful, white folk, with what you're doing. Black folk, vote locally. I said this a few months ago. If you live in Mississippi, Alabama, wherever a lot of this craziness is going on, Georgia, and it might be time for a mass exodus. We might have to do it again like we did it before. Just get up out of those places. If those places are not working for you, come on, man. Get some kind of computer skill. The world is online now. The world is not anymore. You're not gonna get in your car and drive or get the bus and go to work with your lunchbox and put in 8 hours and come home. No, that's over. Y'all looking for that? I'm sorry, it's gone. Get you some type of skill, coding boot camp. Learn digital networking, programming. Learn something other than how to do a TikTok video. Learn something, and make yourself valuable to yourself, and do something. Get up and move. Go someplace where things are better for you, because they're not going to be ever better for you where you at. And you think that they are not in your lifetime. The best we could do is hope for our children and grandchildren to create a situation and create some generational wealth and leave some things behind other than debt and bad feelings. Right? I think people not in particular, but over a wide berth in my generation, some of the people I know were some of the first people to ever get left anything in their family. You had small pockets of stuff, where people had, houses out of slavery that got passed down generation. But, out of the 60s and the movement and things that happened in the 60s and 70s, people like me who were born in the 60s, a lot of our parents, bought homes. A lot of the Caribbean migration that happened in the 50s and 60s made home ownership a priority within the Black community. So a lot of people got left homes. So we do have a little bit of generational wealth, although the income gap and the wealth gap is wider than it's ever been, black and white speaking, or rich and poor speaking, however you want to look at it. We got to think about it like that. We had our time, y'all. It's our babies and grandbabies. We got to make sure that we leave something significant for them. And the most significant thing we need to leave for them is a blueprint, is a plan, right? We don't need no great leader, no great speaker, and none of that. We need a plan written down that we can hand out and people could follow.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't need no more talking. Time for talk is over. We need action. Tired of people talk about what we're going to do. Don't tell me about your business. Oh, I'm starting to. I don't want to hear about it. I want to see it. Right? Don't tell me about your line of clothes. You selling hair, or you opening a weed store. Don't tell me. Just do it. Don't tell anybody, because the more people you tell, the greater chance of it not happening. So vote, get to work, do what you got to do, stay focused, and don't trust Whitey. Right? Because if you don't know nothing by now, they can't be trusted. Even the ones that think they can, the nice ones. No, don't trust them. Love them, but don't trust them. And that's my rant.
Oh, it's been a vigorous night, hasn't it? No.
It's been interesting, Steph. It's been welcome back.
Yeah, thanks.
You were so missed.
I see. Yeah, I see. Yeah, thank you, brothers, both, for having me, of course.
Sure home, man.
For being my teammates and a part of my community of people. And, I keep a tight circle, and I know that the conversations that we have can be had, and it's a safe space. And I appreciate you both for that. My rant really is focused on ongoing education for our people. And I think that I'm going to begin to use my rants at the end of the night to do this, because it is so important that we stay ready and that we don't let go of the temporary anger that we often experience. And so after the whole centennial celebration of Tulsa, we went right back into quiet and solitude. And now even here in Richmond, Virginia, we're talking about gentrification of Church Hill, housing that is going to be too expensive. Those things are remnants of what happened on Black Wall Street. Black people not being able to elevate themselves beyond what was taken from them. And we're starting to see this consistently across America. And redlining still exists. The inability to be able to get a home loan in areas that Black people want to live in still exists. But what I want to focus on tonight is I posted on my Facebook page. If you're friends with me, please take time, watch it when you have a moment to really sit still. And it is Amber Ruffin, who is a political pundit, no different than Trevor Noah or Steve Colbert, any of those guys. But she's a Black woman who has her own show on Peacock. And she spoke about an entire legacy and history of Black communities that were put underwater. And she spoke about Lake Lanier. And Lake Lanier, there were 15 that she highlighted. There are more. But she spoke about Lake Lanier in Georgia and how 2 Black men were accused, convicted, and hung in one day, on the same day, for the rape of a white woman in what used to be a town called Oscarville in Georgia. And years later, that is still up for debate. And even some of the family members of the woman who was raped say they don't think that the right people were gotten. But these young men were hung. 5,000 spectators show up to see them being hung. And after that, this was a town that had a Black university. This town had schools, churches. It was a fully thriving Black community, no different than Tulsa was. And in order to get additional retribution for the rape of this white woman, this town was flooded, intentionally flooded, and a lake, Lake Lanier in Georgia, was created. So beneath the lake that many people are going to swim in and boat on and everything else this summer as they enjoy their activities, beneath that lake, which covers many counties, including Forsyth County in Georgia, there is an entire Black town. Imagine how we spend time watching these documentaries on TV where people are diving to look at the Titanic in its state of erosion year after year after year after year. And think about the fact that right there in Georgia, Lake Lanier is sitting on a full Black town that could be fully excavated and have the history of many of the Black people that live there. Not only is it Lake Lanier, it is in places like New York. Yes, Central Park is built on what was two Black towns, and what they on the reservoir. Yes, it was created on two Black towns. You have Old Neversink in New York, which is a town that is now covered by a lake. There are over 15. It's so important for us to do our history. And the reason that it's important to understand our history is to understand how they knew we were so closely connected to the need to have land, to have property, and to simply belong. And you can see that today in American society, where Black people are consistently being displaced and moved out and displaced under the guise of development. That is happening right here in Richmond, Virginia, and it's happening truly in every town that you're living in right now. There are Black people being displaced for the purpose of development, and there are other Black people that are supporting it because they have bought into this whole new Blackness, this nouveau riche idea of elevation and putting ourselves above others without recognizing that we are still a community that is majority impoverished. And so when you think about these towns, and please, again, if you are connected to me on Facebook or Marcus and John, if you don't mind sharing it, take time. It's a 6-minute piece. Watch it, review it, and then go and read about some of these towns. Black people being displaced either through force or systemic means has always been a thing, and it will always be a thing until we do that thing, that one of those things that John mentioned, which is definitely vote, and vote local. If you live in Churchill right now, you're not far from where we are. You need to be paying attention. You need to be paying attention. There's a reason that homes are being created that are developed at $400,000 when the median income in specific areas for a 2-parent household over there might be $56,000. They know you will not qualify. There's a reason your phone will continue to ring off the hook with someone trying to buy your property. They understand that displacement through development is an easy way to get rid of us. So I challenge you today, understand that your history is your present. That's my rant.
Ain't no half stepping. Well, Marcus J. live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. I just want to, before I get into my closing, I want to thank our sister Legal, Tamika Robinson, for being with us for as long as we had her tonight. It's been a long time, and it was great seeing her and rocking with her and being a part of the show with her. Special thank you to all of our listeners and all of our commenters and everybody who participated in making tonight's show special, as it is every single week. But every single show we do has its own unique personality, and tonight was really cool, and I was glad to be a part of it, particularly with these two, John and Steph, who I love. So I'll close this out with my own rant and my own closing, and I just want to kind of go back a little bit. I end all of these rants with, ain't got nothing to do with what we're talking about tonight. Tonight, in this rant, I'm going to kind of touch a little bit of what I talked about tonight. I'm going to kind of talk a little bit, kind of hearkening back to the Chauvin sentence, but conversation that I found myself in social media this weekend. And I normally, because I am seeking peace, I usually avoid those things. And even when I was aggressive and wanting to have these conversations, and in a I wish a mofo would type of energy. Even then, I kind of avoided getting into those posts with famous people where you get hundreds and thousands of comments, mostly because I don't want that joint buzzing my phone every time somebody responds. But two, you're more likely to get somebody to say something stupid. And, I got a tendency to correct stupidity. And I ain't got time to be correcting everything that you say that's stupid. But I had time this weekend. I had time. And the person who gave me the opportunity to expand my opinions and show where I had time is someone that some of us may have heard from, a brother by the name of Armstrong Williams. Now, I understand where Armstrong comes from most of the time. I don't want to give him too much shade just because he's conservative. He's a black dude, and I know enough about him that I know that his hand is in the community. I know that his money is in the community. I know that because he's conservative, you're going to get a lot of black people that want to come for him. But here you have a black man that does more for black people than a lot of black people who say they do for black people. Hard stop. So on that level, I rocks with the dude. But where he loses me is his conservative principles that usually has him saying stupid shit. And this week he said some stupid shit. He went in a little bit about the Derek Chauvin sentence. And he said in part that people are complaining about the light sentence. And since this was the first time that a police officer had been sentenced in this way for killing a civilian, let alone a black one, that we should just be happy and it's time to move on and let it go, amongst other things. And so I responded, which I normally don't, but I responded and I said, hey, look, Armstrong, that comment's asinine because on no planet is it okay for you to put your knee on the neck of another person until they die. And where it gets worse, which is why he got 22 years and not 12, is because he did that shit in front of people and children. That's what I said. Still paraphrasing. Karen, whatever her name was, responded by saying what they always say. If you would have just obeyed the officer, you wouldn't have found yourself here in this space. So I had to get her, right? I had to get her. So in the course of me getting her, I had to remind her that it's against the law to kill somebody. It's not against the law to talk back to someone, to curse at someone, to run from someone. Now, understanding that this is a police officer and an authority and the rules are a little bit different. But you can't kill somebody for those things. And you can't kill somebody for being on or having drugs. Now, I know the facts, but you got to remember who I'm dealing with. So I got to speak to them on their level, right? And I told her that in this world that we live in, it takes colossal gall for you to have so little amount of compassion where you can see someone like Dylan Roof get arrested, led away in handcuffs, and go to prison for killing people. We've seen other situations where people have been arrested for shooting up movie theaters, for shooting up other churches, for shooting up malls, killing people. Where you had this man, if we're to go by the Trumpian thought process and say he was on drugs and he didn't obey the police officer, that is not a death sentence. And it's also inaccurate because his homeboy passed him a 20 that he thought was legit to buy the cigarettes that he was in there to buy. He found out that that was a bad 20 when the police accosted him. We don't have to rehash the case. We ain't got to do that. But we do have to talk about how we live in this world, particularly in this country, with people so racist that they see a black man who is accosted by the police officer, and all they need to know is that which they see. They don't need facts. Facts don't matter here. Media attention, that's why we think this happened. This is what they said to me. It's asinine. She probably don't even know what that word means. It means you fucking stupid to think that anybody dying at the hands of someone having a knee on the back of their neck for 9 minutes is justified in any kind of way. Take that back to your people and tell them Marcus J said it. It's myrrh. My rant. It's got nothing to do with what I'm talking about, but as I started this rant, damn it, it's got everything to do with what we're talking about tonight. It's the end of the show. I want to remind everybody that independence is the key to building your legacy. I want to say peace to all of the stars and all the squares. Abundance of water, the fool is thirsty. Those are the words of Bob Marley, who you would be hearing singing, but damn it, I talked through the whole song. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Next week, I got if things work out the way I hope they will, we got a very, very, very important and special guest that's going to be joining us next week. And I'm excited to bring that person to you. You're going to be excited to hear from this person. I haven't even told the crew. I'm going to tell them as soon as we end the show, but I ain't going to tell y'all because y'all got to come back next week and listen and watch the show. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Live from New Den. Legacy Internet Radio will be back right here next week. Holla.
Oh, yeah. I'm with this, with it. I'm just gonna lay back and I'ma drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. We about to set it straight. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready, let's go. Ain't no half stepping, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters Talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With you flowing this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, we full force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk, running back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, we full force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk. Steppin' is the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters Talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With you flowing this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, we full force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk.